they'll be calling you radical. This is important. So this is the first person buried in the West Weber, European immigrant buried in the West Weber Cemetery. This is real important. So the white buffalo has been born right there on the other side, right there on the Utah-Idaho, our Wyoming border. And it's such a big deal. Now, stay with me. My great-great-grandfather, yeah, it's the first buried. So Jay Gibson, when I was a boy, told me right over there, he says, my dad was the first one that groomed this cemetery, the West Weber Cemetery. He says he was pushing up bones. He told me that right over there. I was just a kid. So, she's from Copenhagen. They're from northern Denmark. Anyway, so he was killed right over here. We own a lot of that ground up there, our family, right along the river. He was killed right there with an arrow through the heart. So, and he was friendly with the Shoshone, the little soldier, Chief Cherokee. So this is important. So the creek, 4 mile, dumps in right up there by our property. It runs all the way up there by the Weber County Fairgrounds to the Harrisville. So there's a marker right behind the Harrisville Church right there. That's where Stewart killed Chief Cherokee, shot him in the head. Chief Cherokee had been right over there smoking the peace pipe with Lauren Farr, the first mayor of Ogden. He was on his horse. He claims he was doing it because of the Jim Bridger story with Brigham Young, that I'll give you $1,000 for the first bushel of corn you can buy here on the Wasatch on Salt Lake. He told him to come down Weber Canyon. Now, Weber Canyon, you go up there, right there, that's where the white buffalo has been born. It's a big deal. If you circle around the Bear River, circles all the way, it dumps in right over there to the Great Salt Lake's right there. This is right on the edge of the Great Salt Lake. This is the Weber War, the big bend in the river. But so this was years after he was killed. And the fighting was going back and forth. You take our elder, we take your elder. He was friendly with the Shoshone. And so I've always said that I believe that little soldier is buried here. I've always believed it, and I know for a fact that this was a native burial ground. You know, you go to the Mount Fort Church up there on off 12th Street, right behind the whole markets there where the old Grand Central used to be, and Fred Meyer's right there on 10th and Childs. The mound there, Mount Fort. There's a marker there my grandmother put up there, and friends and others. That was a Shoshone burial ground. Yeah, there's a Mormon church on top of it. So this is a big deal because, walk over here to my dad's grave. So that's the first person buried in the West Weber Cemetery, is Ralph. He was killed right there. So, on his horse, an arrow through the heart. Again, so my grandmother said, and she was a walking, talking historian. She grew up right over there. Adelia Myra Tracy, Moses Tracy's, that crew. Very first ones over there. Slater Marriott. Slaterville Marriott. That's Slaterville right there. Marriott. So, she was a walking, talking genius. She grew up right there. She knew these stories like no other. She said the funeral, they showed up circled in full funeral dress. So she was something else. The first schoolhouse right there by my house, she gave to him. So let's walk over here. Well, let's walk down here to the marker. I wanted to get that in. So it's been a while. It's been a long while. So, as you know, my father drafted Marine out here. Nuked to death in the Nevada test site, died young. I want to show you all these Blanches who gave their lives. My father was Semper Fi to the death. There's no doubt how I got cancer. I want to bring this up because Dana was talking. Do not compare Hunter Biden to Beau Biden. Beau Biden's a very honorable man. Hunter isn't. And so people going off saying, well, and I'm not a fan of Biden's. I can't stand him. He reminds me of Trump. He reminds me of Bummer Dumber, the Fukushima cover-up trilogy. But remember, Beau Biden was a very honorable man. He was in Iraq. He's a veteran. He's a war veteran who volunteered, and they sprayed white phosphorus, depleted uranium from nuclear energy reactors all over. That's an unarguable fact. And he died young after he'd been in Iraq. I think he did 2 tours. He got brain cancer at a very young man. Do not compare Beau Biden to Hunter Biden. They're like night and day. You know, he died very similar to my father, the way my father died. It's tragic. So, my father was drafted. So, there's only a couple in this cemetery as we supreme sacrifice who gave their lives. That's him. That's my dad. That's symbols for the Marines. So, the whole family, all his brothers. Omaha Beach, D-Day. These are such honorable men. And so incredibly honorable men. So Claude, as you know, has just passed. His youngest brother, the incredible famous fighter pilot. You know, what stories. And so let's get to some of these other. Besides, my father gave his life. Died in the prime of his life after being nuked to death in Nevada. I mean, it's tragic. I think I got it. I'll get some more here. So, I'm glad that they got that marker up. There's Claude. I'll find him. I'll find him. He's here. He's here. Go right by it. There's Harold. Omaha Beach, D-Day, Battle of the Bulge. My grandma, all these draft dodgers out here. There's 11 boys in West. He's the only one that went to World War II. They all took farm permits. Not him. Not him. Roy. Oh my God, he was amazing. You know, and he was so decorated, it was unbelievable. My grandma said he was 17 years old, and my grandma says, no, he stayed. And she said, no, both my brothers are over there. Les and Art Tracy, and so decorated, it's unbelievable. She says, no, what Hitler's doing to our relatives over there, oh, hell no, he's going. She got him up at like 4 a.m., arranged for a ride in, and my grandpa didn't even know he was gone. Next thing you know, I mean, D-Day, Battle of the Bulge. I mean, he was something. That's who raised me. He used to carry a Luger around. Had notches in it. He was a big dude. He was incredible. I got so many stories. He was at the headquarters when they got there, where Hitler supposedly did himself, but he, Roger, it's another one. These guys, I mean, gotta find Claude. My uncle just died. He's buried at Arlington. But I know his name's Vietnam. There he is. So this is who I want to talk about today. Mostly Claude. Look up his obituary. Blow your mind. Japan 4.0. All-American football player. I mean, 5 stars. 5-star athlete in 5 different sports. 5 letters at BYU. Kurt, my next-door neighbor. So he was, I mean, this is the guy. These two. Kurt was on the John McCain ship when it burned. He was in the air. He was one of the most these two of the most decorated fighter pilots, and he both beautiful. God, he was so beautiful. He was amazing. Yeah, and he got cancer, like me. He was young, real. I think he was even younger than I was, like in his late 40s. Killed him. So decorated. Claude, and that's saying a lot, Claude knows his shit. Claude said that Kurt was the greatest fighter pilot he ever knew. And that's coming from him. The most decorated fighter pilot maybe in the country post World War II. Look up his obituary, blow your mind. Yeah, he just passed. I put an interview with him. So these are the men that raised me. And so when I hear people bad-mouthing Beau Biden, I get pissed. He's not Hunter. Beau Biden was an honorable man. Really honorable. Hunter isn't. And I'm not a friend of Joe Biden's. You know, Joe Biden's cover up a focus. Joe Biden doesn't get it, the fact that it was depleted uranium sprayed on our own men, just like they did him, just like the USS Reagan. So, important video. And so I'll be heading up there in the morning. I'll go to my dad's grave. Weber right here. So, the white buffalo. You don't think that's a big... So I grew up here. My mom worked at the Intermountain Indian School up there. That was Navajo. But I used to play in the wigwams right here. The wigwams down in the marsh right there. All through here. This was still pretty wild country when I was a boy. And I knew the Shoshone lessons and tales I was taught from a very young boy. That's how I was raised. I was raised like they were raised. And I know what the white buffalo symbolizes. It symbolizes grandmother earth. When the spirit of the white calf comes, she's had enough. Mother Earth's had enough. She's had enough of what they've done. She's going to retaliate. I think it's irony that the same month that Bill Gates was right there, going to put nuclear reactors at Kemmer, Wyoming. You know, this all ties together. So, important I got that up. My uncle had all the spot picked out for me right here. So, Kev, I got your spot. He went to the Mormon church up there and says, you want to go see Kevin? I just left. Go down to LDS. He's probably not going to make it through the week. Yeah, he was a gem, man. God, I have so many stories about him. Whoo, and he was so anti-war, it was unbelievable. Vern died so young. But I wanted to get that up. Again, I was standing right here when Jay Gibson told me when I was a little boy. My dad's the guy who groomed this cemetery. And he said when he groomed it, he was pushing up bones. This was the Shoshone burial mound. It's absolutely unarguable, huh? And so, the fact that the white buffalo has been born right there on the Utah, on the Bear River Massacre. You know, the Shoshone, the elders, a lot of them don't exist anymore. They call me So-So Goya. I'm a walker. You know, I'm a big walker. I walk the coast of California. So-So Goya means to walk. The Bear River Massacre, the fact that it was born on the Bear River. The white buffalo calf was born on the Bear River. You know, I spent so many years at the Bear River Massacre. So, he was killed young. I remember him good. Well, I don't remember him. I remember her, his wife. Before I was around. So, Semper Fi. Oh, was he? Oh my God, was my dad. Everybody called him Digger. He was a potato farmer. He's an organic. He's beautiful. He's good looking. He looked just like Elvis. He really did. And, I mean, and he was a gem. He had wit like that. You know, and so all those Blanch boys, amazing men, really amazing. Here's one, Stephen Rapalato. I was friends with Stephen. Vietnam. he had so many issues, you know. He got cancer and died young. So the fact that it's such a major story. I was taught all these stories as a boy. I've lived my life. I've tried to live my life because I was born here. I'm a native boy. I was born here. I try to be as, and I believe in their philosophies. I believe in their stories. I mean, I always have since I was a little kid. And, you know, so the fact that the white buffalo calf, and I know the story of the white buffalo, you know, hear the voices of my great-grand, I know. I hear the voices of grandmother Earth. Oh boy, she's had enough. And to think that the fact that that white calf, it's a 1 in a billion, is born on the Bear River, right there. It drains in the Great Salt Lake right there. Talk about the big bend in the river. Never forget the Bear River Massacre. Never forget. I've spent so many years there. Remember those interviews with me and Governor Cox and the Utah State Attorney General? You know, how's he getting in bed with Utah funding these little SMRs? So, what a story, you know. And so, write a book. Fuck. It's a miracle I'm even alive. You know, given 2 months to live in 2011 when Fukushima happened. Just the fact that I go into the bone marrow transplant on 11/11/11. I held my dad's hand as he died. I watched him load him in the body bag. You know, same with Annika. I know what this nuclear energy technology, and so don't ever badmouth Bo Biden around me. You can badmouth Hunter Biden all you like because he's a piece of you know what, but not Bo. No, he was an honorable man. He went to Iraq. He did 2 tours. They sprayed white phosphorus, which is depleted uranium, was made from nuclear energy waste. I thought we were anti-nuclear energy people here. And he was in Iraq, and he came back, and he got brain cancer from that, and it killed him in the prime of his life, a young man. You know, I can't stand Joe. He should connect these dots. How can he be pro-nuclear when that's what, well, Kamala Harris's mother, I knew her personally. The epidemiologist at Livermore at the nuclear lab. She died young of cancer. So you can go along with this nuclear thesis, but I think it's incredibly irony. It blows my mind. So I'm going to head up there tomorrow. I just got off the phone with the people. I've walked right there where that white calf was born so many times. And if you don't know the story of the white calf, whoa, the white buffalo calf, she come back beautiful. But my life after death, I believe exactly what the Shoshone believe. I believe exactly what they believe. That's my belief system. It always has been. I'm a native. I was born here. You know, I'll be buried here. Next to those people that have probably been buried here for many, 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 many thousands of years. I don't see any markers. No. You know, and there's a debate. I just went by the Ogden Cemetery, come by, and because a lot of Darren Perry and a lot of the Shoshone believe that little soldiers buried in the Ogden Cemetery. Possibly. I don't think so. You can see the North Ogden Divide cut comes down. The creek comes down here. And we know, you should believe all the stuff that I found. I used to play in the wigwams right here. As you come down right through there, 4 Mile Creek, right there where Chief Cherokee was killed, they used to work right down there. And the high side's on this side. The low side of the river where it floods on the other side. The Great Floodplain, which they've drained off. We know Little Soldier was right here. We know that. We know this was his place out here. My grandmother, Inga Marie's Nicholson, and Annie's journals. You can read right through her journeys talking about them when they first got here, when she was a little girl, the Shoshone, and they wrote about it. They were brilliant. They were brilliant people. May Blanch, they're going to name the English department at, born right here. She was 99 when she died at BYU, you know, Paul McKay Brody's contemporary. Right here, right here. So the fact that it's a 1 in a billion, the white buffalo calf has been born. Oh my God. In May of 2023. Oh boy, I almost died in 2023, didn't I? I came really close. Spent the summer and winter in the open heart surgery for the second time, fighting leukemia. I think he's buried here. Well, I know that this is a native burial. I know for a fact. Again, standing right here when I was a little boy. Jay told me right there, Gibson, old timer. His dad, with the Blanches, the first people here in the big western Weber County, whiteys from Europe. My dad groomed this cemetery, and he was pushing up bones. So don't badmouth Bo Biden around me, because you'll have a fight on your hands. Because he's like my dad. He's not Hunter Biden. He's not Joe Biden. He's Bo. He's an honorable man. Really honorable man. And the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate took him. Again, the fact that Bill Gates was up there promoting small nuclear reactors and Utah's funding them, these people that never bled. None of their family bled. Again, my grandma said they lined up around here in full native burial attire and gave him the full Shoshone burial. Now, I don't know if they put him up in the crypt. You know, that's what I wanted to do to me. You know, that's how they did it. They would put him up, carry them. I know sometimes they would burn the crypt, then bury them, their bones. That's the way I want to go. I told Joe Surridge, you know, his Clydesdales. I'm close friends with Joe. Here, he's got the Clydesdales here. When I was full of cancer, I said, Joe, can you dress up the horses and haul me to the cemetery on the... Yeah, but you're not going to die. So we know Sherm, who I was close friends with, Sherm Hadley. I went to his funeral. Joe's daughter did it for him. It was beautiful. So I'm anti-war. I'm anti-military. I'm anti-politicians, but not these drafted men. These men that went, they got tricked. These men that gave their lives, they got tricked. Went off to Afghanistan to kill the Taliban. Went off to Iraq to get a big old sack. Went to Vietnam to kill a Viet Cong. How boogeyman nicest they ain't been at ISIS. Don't badmouth these men that were nuked to death in front of me. Don't ever. I don't care if they're left, right. I don't care whose sons they are. I don't care if they're blue pill, red pill, politicians. I don't care. No. The nuclear energy took them. And that's what I spend my life doing, is fighting them. Fighting them. When they loaded my father into the body bag, my brother's like, "You really going to watch that?" Yeah. I wanted to burn a hole in me so I can hate them for the rest of my life, the nuclear energy crime scum. And I'm going to fight him to the death. You know, they try to make a sequel out of me. Well, I'm still standing because only the good die young. So, this is Shoshone land. They were here for many, 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 many thousands of years. This is their land. My land, too. I was born here. Semper Fi. So Goya. Long live Little Soldier. Long live Chief Cherokee. Long live all those beautiful Shoshone women that raised me. They're beautiful. They're incredible. Stay tuned.